Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our April summer camp webinar here on YouTube Live. We're so happy that you have joined us this evening to go over a few camp details. We're going to try to make this as brief as possible. However, we do have some more, I guess, lengthy topics to talk about all in all. But as always, feel free to go ahead and throw in the chat your troop number and where you guys are from. That help us kind of keep track of who's here this evening and who's not and all that good stuff. So again, happy you're here. You know, if you got some other leaders you want to hop on the call, just hit the share button, so that way they can get notified if they subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button so that way you get notified in case you're running late. You'll get the notification we're going live, so you'll get it right to your phone. But so we've got several things we're going to discuss, but first we got Wesley Warden, our council program assistant, and one of our assistant camp directors, Ash Stemke, assistant camp director, and Joshua Bodenheimer, our program director here. On the back end, we've got Max, our Ravenob IT guru, who's keeping everything squared away for this evening. So happy to get going. So let's go ahead and jump in. So back, let's see, a few weeks ago, we had session registration, about 3 weeks ago, I guess, at this point. And from our perspective, everything went fairly well. We know it is very chaotic for you all on the other end, and we hope that you guys had a successful registration day. All in all, we understand that you may not get some things, but hopefully we got what we needed to make summer camp worthwhile for our scouts. If you didn't, reach out to us because, as I've said in lots of other webinars, we've got a lot of different ways to make things work, reworking schedules, finding different avenues, whatever it may be. So a lot of folks that reached out, we were able to change stuff around and make it work. We are really not no people. You will come to find that out. We are yes people, or yes in a different way. So we're going to make everybody happy one way or another. So anything we can do, you let us know, especially during this easy process of registration. So that's simple. We can make things work on our end. So hope everything went well. But here's some things that you need to know going forward. So on April 15th, the system will start to change a little bit, and any changes that you have in terms of your overall unit numbers, that is something that we will start to be able to, or we will start controlling on that point. So if you have any changes, just reach out, send us an email. I need to drop this person. I need to add, 3 or 4, whatever it may be, and we will take care of that for you. The reason we changed that at that point in time is that we're ordering supplies left and right. And so it just gives us an idea of where the numbers are in its current state. So rather than just going and hitting refresh, we can actually have more conversations with y'all, get to know you a little better, but also know where you're coming from all in all. So on April 15th, that will start to change. And then the next date you really need to know is about 1 week prior. 1 week prior is when we do want your final payment. And as we mentioned on several webinars this year, if you can, send us a check. It'll help alleviate some of those credit card and processing fees that we get hit with every year. So we did the math the other day, and if you put in 20 kids, I'm going to lose about 1 kid out of that's coming to us. So, that's staff members, that's program materials, whatever it may be. So if you aren't ready to make your payment or would rather just pay in person once you get to camp with a check, we will happily accept that there. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. One of the things that I do want to talk to you about is the cancellation process, any sort of issue with refunds, things of that nature. So when it comes to refunds this time of year, unless you've completely paid off your balance, anybody that we remove from your account, whatever money that has been paid for that scout will just roll into your final balance. So at that point, the unit would be responsible for refunding that scout back. If you get into an awkward predicament where that doesn't really work, let me know. But it just helps us keep things a lot cleaner and helps accounts payable and folks here keep their life a little bit simpler without doing so many refunds on the front end. The number you need to know when it comes to can my scout back out is 3 weeks. Anytime before 3 weeks, we're going to give a full refund to your scout. And a lot of camps do not offer that, but that is the way that we work. Inside 3 weeks, we're going to keep $50 of that fee. because we've probably got a lot of things on hand and taking care of the staff needs that we need to for the week that you guys are going to be there. So 3 weeks out from your time that you arrive from camp, not from first week. So your time that you arrive to camp. Anytime within that, we are going to withhold $50 back. Okay, so just keep an eye on that. So that's all I really have for deadlines and registration notes. Can continue to. Sorry, the weather. I think all along the kind of eastern part of the world right now is a little weird. So wind was blowing against my window there. I was afraid somebody was back there watching me. But anyways, yeah. So keep signing up your kids. If you haven't already gone in there and added all your kids to your sessions, please do so. You may notice that we keep a pretty keen eye on what's going on. So we pull reports and see, hey, I've got stuff at my cart. And, we don't like stuff sitting in carts for very long just because we don't want a session to fill up in a random time. So we go in there about once a day and see if you have stuff in your cart. If you've got stuff in your cart and somebody's sitting there with a full block of sessions, we're probably going to go ahead and confirm that and check it out just so what we're kind of doing on the back end. And it's really just to try to make your life a little bit easier. This time of year, we got a lot of crossovers happening, a lot of Cub Scouts coming up to the troop. So don't feel like you need to leave those folks at home. Feel free to bring them on to camp. So we will have room for them and take care of them. So if you end up, bridging over one or two guys or 5, 6, 20, whatever it may be, you just give us a call. We will figure it out. So don't leave those young scouts back at home to think that, the number you turned in was the number that you have to ride or die by. So feel free to bring those scouts on with us. All right. And speaking of scouts, Ash, I'm going to turn it over to you so we can talk about how those scouts can come visit a second time with us this summer. So go ahead, Ash, take it away.
Absolutely. So I'm going to talk a bit about our Provisional Scout program and our Raven Repeat program and how that works. If you could, there we go. Great. There's my screen right there. Our Provisional Scout program is for scouts that may be attending camp by themselves because either their troop is coming a different week or maybe their troop is, whatever that might be. So anyway, for scouts that want to come for a separate week or a second week or whatever that might be, that's what that means as far as provisional scouts. And at Raven Knob, the way we handle provisional scouts is we essentially place our provisional scouts with a unit that is in camp for the week, a unit that has leadership that we've known for years and that we trust to kind of take good care of our provisional scouts, usually a couple campsites or so per week. But anyway, if this is something that your scouts might be interested in doing, whether that's they have to come a separate week or they're interested in coming a second week, the Provisional Scout program is for them. And to get to that, you'll just go right here where it says Provisional Scouts. And there's actually a form right here where they can be registered sort of separately from the rest of the unit for that separate week. So as it says here, Provisional Scout, someone who wants to attend a different week from when their troop comes, or whatever that might be. We do have a day camper program as well for scouts that live locally. A day camper means that you're not spending the night here. You essentially show up for your sessions that begin at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then we serve you lunch and you stay until your sessions are done at 5 p.m. and then you go home. But the Provisional Scout program is a full week of camp experience from check-in on Sunday through dismissal on Saturday. And so I definitely do recommend that for scouts that are interested in coming separately or for a second week. The base price for Provisional Scouts, I believe, is $450 for the week. We can just confirm that right here. Yeah, the base price for Provisional Scouts is $450. However, if a scout is coming for a second week of camp, maybe they're coming with their troop, but they want to come back a second week and do lifeguard training or get some merit badges or try Rampage or something like that. That's called our Raven Repeat program, and we have a special discounted rate here of $315. So any scouts that come for a second week do get a pretty significant discount in their fees for the week. And that can be registered for right here through the Provisional Scout application. It's all done right here in Tintaroo from our website. And to do that, you just kind of type in all the information right here. This asks for sort of the basic information. And as you can see from this step-by-step process, it asks, some basic information about the camper, which week they're hoping to come, which sessions they're planning to take. And then it goes ahead and calculates your price right there. And you just go ahead and pay when you submit this form. So as far as Provisional Scout registration, it's quite easy, and it is a separate process from registering your regular unit. So if you have a scout that's planning to come for a second week, this is where to go to do that. If you have any questions about specific courses or different sessions to register for or how this works, our admin staff would be glad to help you work through that. Feel free to email us at registration@ravennob.com, and we can kind of help you work through that. But our Raven Repeat program is always great. It's nice to see some familiar faces when they come back. And I really would recommend that for scouts that either are maybe they're getting sort of older in the program and they don't necessarily need a full week of merit badges, or maybe they need a couple of Eagle required ones, but they also want to go do some high adventure or whatever it might be. There's a lot of good reasons to come to Raven Knob for a second week. So we hope to see you there.
Absolutely, Ash. Thank you for that. All right. And hopping from Provisional Scouts, we're going to hop over and talk a little bit about programs, try to keep some of this stuff in front of you the best we can. And after this one, we're going to kind of get into refreshing on our required documents and our check-in process, which is ever so important in making sure that things go super smoothly when you guys get to camp. So, Josh, go ahead and take it away, my friend.
So I'm going to talk about two things here. First, I'd like to say hello to everybody. We had our staff training weekend a few weeks ago, and we're shaping up to have a great summer. So really looking forward to that. The first thing I want to mention is our ATV program. Our ATV program has a prerequisite, some trainings that you have to do that can be found on page 15 of the program guide. The program guide is up to date. You can find that on our website, as you see here. Go through, make sure that all scouts that are in that go ahead and take the course so that you're not freaking out and having to do that Sunday night. Next up is prerequisites. So making sure that whenever you come to camp, there are a list of different things that you can see here. It lists every single merit badge and all the prerequisites that you might need. We prefer that if you come to camp, you go ahead and have a list that you can bring by admin so that our admin staff can go ahead and get in the system. Two, if it's for, say, camping and you just need to write a note, you can do that as well. But these are certain things that we can't do, say, in the time span of camp or at camp. For certain merit badges. But
hey Josh, I'm going to interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we implemented during midsummer last year was a way for units to go ahead and submit prerequisites here live. So that way we can go ahead and get them. So if you're already working through them and whatnot, you can click this button right here, submit prerequisites, and there's a form. So this is live and ready for you all now. And during the week that you're there at camp, our admin team will plug that in. So you'll just upload a file. We actually have a file that you can use, and you will submit that right here. So you can check all that out there. So that's the way that we prefer that coming in at this point. But nonetheless, if you need to do it during camp, don't want to do that, feel free to bring that list by admin, and they will knock it out the same way as we do this.
All that can be found on the Raven Knob website along with the program guide. That's the best resource for all that needing to give to other adults or parents, along with the parent guide. So that's all I have.
Sweet, Josh. Just going to answer this question here: who at home is able to sign off on prerequisites? We leave that up to the unit leaders to put that together. Really shouldn't be a parent or whatnot. However, if the prerequisite is to do something at home, that parent or the scout's going to be able to tell you who is what. So essentially, our counselor would be signing off on the requirement technically that has been completed. But your merit match counselors normally aren't sitting at home with the scout as they do certain things like cook a meal for your family or whatever it may be. So unit leaders, that is one of your responsibilities to put that together and to trust you that it is done correctly. All right. So thank you, Josh. Appreciate you. We're going to swing this thing right back over to Ash. So long time no see. We're going to talk about these required documents. So Ash, I'm going to put your screen back up.
Great. Thanks.
So you can knock it out.
Sure. So from our main website right here, if we go under the Scouts BSA Summer Camp to the Leaders Guide and Forms page, this is my favorite page on the website. I'm just kidding. It's not. But regardless, there's plenty of things to see here, including our Leaders Guide program guide that Josh was just mentioning, so the Parents Guide, and some things about the Rampage program specifically. I certainly recommend that you share this link and these documents with far and wide within your unit for anyone who may need them. As far as some specific guides or some specific documents that we should talk about that you'll need to have for the summer, we'll just kind of scroll down here and see a few of these past the main guides here. I want to start with this one down here, actually. Actually, this one's not linked on here anymore. We should talk about the medical form first, which is not linked here because you can get that from National's website. But the standard Scouting America medical form is obviously required for everyone in your unit for the week. And that does require Part C on that form, so that has to be signed and signed after a consultation with a medical professional. That's should not be new news to any of you, but that is required for the entire week. Upon check-in, there'll be a health retrack kind of process, and then that will be checked over by our health staff, and that will allow the various scouts and leaders to get buddy tags and kind of participate in the full camp activities for the week. There's some information about that actually in the Leaders Guide and how that works. I might just go ahead and open that up so we can take a look at the process there. I'm going to scroll down to, where would that be? Health and medical information. There it is. So here inside our Leaders Guide, it talks about, of course, the standard BSA medical form and what's required right there. Here's the things that are required for that. You can get to it through scouting.org, and we've already talked about those things. One thing that I should mention about this as well is that we have this thing called Express Health Check-in. A lot of people like to do this because it helps expedite their check-in process on Sunday after they arrive at camp. The idea is that if you can collect the medical forms from all your scouts and leaders and mail them to us in advance, then our Health Lodge staff can go ahead and start processing those, checking over the allergy lists, making buddy tags and things like that, so that when you show up to camp on Sunday, it's just kind of a quick, hey, how you feeling today? And, has anything changed? It makes that process a lot faster. Without sending them in advance, then of course our health staff has to carefully review every page of the medical form as you're doing check-in, and it sometimes just slows down the process a little bit. So if you have a larger unit, it would definitely be to your advantage to send those medical forms in advance. Send us some copies. That would be great. Keep the originals for yourself. But if you send us copies of medical forms in advance, then we can go ahead and check over those to make the Sunday process take a little bit less time. So I would certainly recommend that. We definitely do prefer mailing those in for health privacy reasons. I think if you've got, we do take things via fax, I believe, as well. That can get a little complicated. I am old enough to know what a fax machine is, but I can't say that I've used one in a long time. But regardless, physical mail would be the best choice for sending those into us.
And to mention the fax, we do have fax, and you can fax some over to us, but unless you're just sending like one, please don't send like a unit of 50 kids.
Yeah,
it's incredible how bogged down a fax machine can get at one time. So definitely mail those to us. Email is technically a HIPAA violation, so if you can just mail those to us. USPS, FedEx, UPS. What we do ask is when you do get to the point of sending those in, just when you drop those off, shoot us the tracking number. That way we've got it and we can be on the lookout for it. When it comes in, we will reach back out to you and let you know that we did receive it. And to answer this question, if I've got 3/4 of the health forms done, go ahead and send those in, because what we're going to do is we're probably going to write out or be able to write out all the buddy tags and whatnot. So it'll save us a little bit of time in the check-in process. So, go ahead and give us what you got. If we got to add a few in, no problem. But definitely send in what you can.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And as far as mailing those in, any standard carrier will work. Like Hunter mentioned, UPS, FedEx, and USPS. We receive deliveries from all three of those and Amazon every single day of the summer. So it's not an issue for those to be sent to us at any point. So one more thing I'll mention as far as things that go with the health form, there's this form here called the Outdoor Programs Parental Release. This has to do with certain North Carolina state regulations. That form is available back on the forms and guides page right down here where it says outdoor parental release form. This is only required for the youth that are coming with you, so adults do not need to have this form. But if we go ahead and take a look at that here, this essentially states that there are certain activities that happen in a summer camp setting that require certain risks and whatnot, and the parent has to sign talking about that here and get this. So this particular form does need to be signed, one per scout for all of your scouts. Our recommendation and what would make things easiest for us in processing this paperwork is that you have this form for each scout attached to that scout's health form. So if Johnny is coming, make sure that his medical form and outdoor release are together, and then Susie's coming over here, Susie's medical form and outdoor release are kind of attached together as well. If you give us two separate stacks of all the medical forms and all the release forms, we're going to have to sort them together, and that's maybe a little bit extra work there. So that's kind of most of the things from the medical side there. I will mention this one down here that says supplemental medical form. This is not a required form, but it's one that we have in case you've got scouts or leaders with particularly specific medical needs that may be unusual conditions or whatever that might be. So if there's any severe allergies or behavioral conditions or anything like that that we may need to be aware about, if they're taking any complicated medications, this would be a form that you could use for that. So feel free to take a look at that and see if that may apply to any of your scouts or leaders. Transitioning from that a little bit, I'll mention our special diet form. This is typically reviewed by our health staff for allergies, and then certainly by our kitchen staff for allergies and dietary restrictions and things like that. For whatever scouts or leaders you have coming that may have various dietary restrictions, our dining hall staff is very good at accommodating those needs. But we can only do that if we know what conditions we need to be accommodating. So that's what this form here is for. This allows you to fill out with your basic information, unit number, week of camp, things like that, and just list the people in your unit and that have dietary needs and what that might be. And so, it mentions a few things here, but we do cater to standard dietary needs quite often, gluten-free diets, vegetarian, things like that. If you have specific, more specialized needs that are maybe uncommon or uncommon allergies or things like that, that's certainly good for us to know as well. If you have a particularly unique situation, send us an email and we may be able to accommodate you in a different way. That's probably the best thing is we want to certainly work with you on things, but we also need to be prepared so we can order food and things in advance.
Hey Ash, just
Yes.
want to throw in. I've had several really good conversations with some parents and unit leaders about some more advanced allergies and whatnot. So again, if you have parents that are very cautious about can my child come to camp given allergies and whatnot, please have them reach out to me directly. I'm happy to talk to parents about that and try to put a little bit of ease to their mind. We've got several different ways that we can work this. So, and more importantly, we want the kid to come to camp and enjoy themselves. So please feel free to share our contact information. Should you have a parent that's very concerned about that, happy to help. So, and this is, outside of typical peanut allergies or, dairy, gluten, things like that. When you start combining several of those together, it gets a little bit more complex. So feel free to have them reach out. Happy to talk to them. We'll get this thing figured out for them. So that way they can enjoy their week at camp.
Absolutely. We do request that you submit this form to us by June 1st. That helps us order our food appropriately for the summer. Occasionally, I think we may get one in late or whatever, but this certainly will help us do our planning if we can get those things in on time. And as Hunter mentioned, if you got any questions or concerns with that, please reach out. We'd be glad to help you. Finally, the last form I'm going to mention today is the swim test form or swim check form. If you're planning to do your swim tests before coming to Raven Knob, that's also something that we recommend, particularly for larger troops, because it speeds up your Sunday check-in process. It means that your scouts and leaders don't have to go swimming on Sunday. Instead, they can just stop by the waterfront as part of their camp tour and get a little safety talk and kind of learn where things are, but they don't actually have to go swimming that first day. That form looks like this. It's We have our own. There's one you can get from National as well. They all work about the same way. Essentially, it asks you to write the names of the scouts and leaders in your unit and what their swim classification is based on the tests that are standardized in aquatic supervision and things like that. Some questions that we get about this form quite a lot that I'll try to address here. One is, how do we submit it? Well, you got a couple options. If we go to ravennub.com/swim tests, as shown right there, you can actually submit it online. That looks just like this, which here's the form on that, or the page on that tells you how that works. There's the form that you can download. And once you've got it, you can actually just upload it right here, and we will get an email of that in advance. Additionally, if you maybe don't have it until you come to camp or you do your swim tests not too long before coming, feel free to just bring a paper copy of the form and give it to our aquatic staff upon check-in. That works as well. But if you're one of those people that wants to submit it in advance, then we certainly have the ability for you to do that. Another question I get about this a lot is, do I have to submit tests for my entire unit, or can I just do partial? Similar to the help form thing, partial is totally fine. If you're bringing 12 scouts and 9 of them have done their swim test, but the other 3 couldn't make it or whatever, that's fine. Go ahead and put those 9 on this sheet, and we can just have the other 3 do their swim test during check-in process. That's pretty easy to do. It would be good for you to keep track of who has or has not done their swim tests. That way, during the Sunday check-in process, if you know whoever needs to take a swim, make sure they have their suits with them and things like that, versus getting caught off guard or whatever that might be. Another question we get a lot is, who's allowed to actually administer swim tests? And this is, I will say, not a Raven Knob specific question. This is sort of a general question for scouting aquatics in general. Swim tests are rank advancement. As you probably know, the beginner's test is a requirement for second class, and the swimmer's test is a requirement for first class, which means that they can be counseled by the same people that can counsel rank advancement. Meaning people who have an understanding and training and how the requirements work and things like that. So anyway, those are the tests that are standardized by National. As far as what that means for this form, we're asking for essentially, it says unit leader or lifeguard, and that's because the classifications of people that we typically want running these tests are people who understand the swim tests. And as it says here, it needs to be authorized by a unit leader trained in safe swim defense or aquatic supervision, a BSA lifeguard, RIP, or a BSA aquatics instructor. As many of you probably know, the BSA lifeguard program has been retired. So that's not something that National is endorsing anymore, but people whose certifications are still current are still good for the next whatever year or two until they expire. Of course, we are offering American Red Cross lifeguarding at Raven Knob this summer, and if you have scouts or leaders interested in becoming lifeguards, I highly recommend that program. It certainly is a lot of fun, but that's a separate thing. But the question of, do you have to have a lifeguard to do a swim test? According to policy, you don't have to have a lifeguard actually administer the swim test. The situation needs to be supervised by some sort of response personnel, whether that be a lifeguard or someone else trained in water rescue. So if you're doing swim tests at a local pool, for example, if that pool is staffed with lifeguards, those lifeguards are good enough for kind of monitoring the safety of the situation. But the person actually administering the test probably should be someone that understands the BSA swim test and has training in that. So that would be my recommendation there. But regardless, that's kind of what we're looking for in that form. And you're certainly welcome to reach out with any questions you have about swim tests, or just come do them at camp on Sunday during check-in. That's also an option.
Sounds good, Ash. Appreciate you going over those. We typically go over required documents at every single one of our webinars, and I apologize if you feel like that's repeated information, but it's probably the question that we get the most out of anything is, what about this form? What about that one? What about this one? So it's always good just to keep it in front of you, because the last thing we want you to do is get to camp and not have one of those forms, because it can be a real pain, especially, medical forms, or you need that parent signature. And next thing you know, we're calling parents and we're faxing things and emailing and whatever else. So that's why we always talk about that one specific topic. So what we're going to talk about now is the check-in process at Raven Knob. Me and Ash are going to talk about this together. Ash, when I get tired of talking, I'm going to let you fill in. So we'll see if I'm able to jump through the entire thing.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So biggest thing you need to know right now is that in May, in the month of May, we will send out a document or a form for you guys to fill out for a check-in arrival time. So that is the time that you would show up to Raven Knob. And so we have so many spots, and what it does is try to help with congestion during the check-in process. So between 1 o'clock and I think 3:30 or 4 is our last arrival times. You'll be able to sign up for one of those times to check in. Those of you that we have coming in on Saturday or whatnot, we go ahead and put you right in at 1 o'clock to go ahead and get things moving. But we'll send out a form. We'll give everybody advance notice. It'll come out at a specific time, whether it's like 5 p.m. or 8 a.m. or whatever it may be. We'll give everybody the same chance to make it happen. So we'll send this form out, and you'll be able to complete that and sign up for your arrival time. And again, we really want you guys that is the time that you arrive to the front gate. It's not the time that you go to, health checks or whatever it may be. It's the time that you arrive to the front gate. So let me just real quick, I can show you all just kind of what that looks like, because we have that ability. So Max is working his magic on the back end here. So we're always appreciative for that. So in the past, we've used like Sign Up Genius and everything like that, but we actually have our own system now called Raven Link, and this is what it looks like. So that way you're familiar with how this process works. So you just click on one, I want spot number 1, and yes, I want spot number 1, and yep, I got spot number 1. But essentially, you'll put in your information to say I'm troop 100 from Gulfstream Council and all that, so that way it saves it and we know who's coming when. But you'll get more familiar. You'll have the opportunity to see this system a little bit. We'll talk about it at later webinars, but this is what that'll look like to sign up for your registration time. So once you arrive to camp, you'll be greeted at the front gate by some of our staff, and mainly we're just looking for your troop number, and then we are going to direct you onto your campsite. We do prefer that the unit does arrive all at the same time. So if you sign up for a check-in time at 1 o'clock, we do expect that your entire unit is there at that time, because you're going to have to go through all of the health check process, swim checks, camp tour, which is going to be beneficial to the entire unit. If you sign up for 1, but not everybody's going to be there till 4, maybe 4 o'clock is a better sign up time for you all to, start your check-in process or whatever it may be. So please keep that in mind as you gather. Some folks, leave at separate times, whatever it may be, that's fine. But when you check in at that front gate, it is going to trigger the process to begin. You'll be then directed straight to your campsite. And once you get to your campsite, it is not really time to unpack and start, assigning tents, whatever it may be. This is the time where the troop guide will meet you there, introduce themselves to you, and then you will start the entire check-in process. The first place you will go is to a regional check-in site. Depending on where your campsite is at is going to depend on where your check-in location is. And once you arrive to that location, you'll be first greeted by one of our admin assistants that will go over, do you have a balance left on your invoice? Here's a schedule, of all the merit badges that your scouts have signed up for, your T-shirt list. So there's several things that they're going to give you: a shower key, radio, all this kind of stuff. And we'll mention on that here in a minute. So they'll get you through that process. And once you're done with them, then you are going to move over to the health check portion. So those of you that have already sent in your health forms ahead of time, it should be a little bit quicker process. But those of you that haven't, we will go through a health check process where you'll sit down with members of our health lodge and other staff and just make sure that we are reviewing your health form adequately. Make sure that you have medication that you need. Do you have your EpiPen if you're allergic to bees or whatever it may be that requires you to have that? Is there anything we may need to know? So what we do with that information is we do create a list to say, these scouts have these allergies, and we distribute that to our area directors. So that way they're aware of who's in their sessions and what kind of situations they may be dealing with. So that's the entire process of going through that, is to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Once we're done checking in at our regional check-in facility, you will then go on your camp tour, which will include stops at both the aquatics area and the dining hall. Okay. Aquatics area and the dining hall. The dining hall is to review the dining hall process because it does have a very specific process on how it works. And the aquatics area goes through the kind of the rules of water at camp, which does have specific rules, but also is the time where if you have scouts that need to get their swim check, they will go through it at that time. All right. Those of you that have signed up for a troop photograph, you will then go to the OA Arena or whichever location we've picked to be the spot for troop photos. You will go and do that. And then, the troop guide will kind of show you around and maybe show you a few trails. Our goal that day is not to completely walk you all over the place because camp is large and it can take, a lot of time. So those of you that are familiar with Raven Knob and, you've got older scouts or leaders that can help fill in, give directions day of or whatever it may be, we definitely encourage that just to make Sunday a smoother process. I do want to answer a few of these questions that I've seen come in really quick. So let's see here. Do you factor check-in times for the troops being picked up as well? I assume that means like when departing, check out. Is that what that means? Ash, is that what you would?
I would assume it's people who are coming via plane or train.
I got you. Yes. Yeah. Then yes, you are correct by that. Yes. If you were being picked up by plane or train, we would start you at 1:00 on Sunday. If you have a driver come in just to drop off the troop trailer, no, they can drop the trailer and hit the road. So nobody needs to go through the check-in process unless they're staying around for the week or your summer camp, person or scoutmaster is the one that needs to do the check-in process, then that's fine. But nobody needs to hang around for all of that.
One thing I'll mention as well is that if you have participants in the Rampage or Cripple Creek programs, they sort of have their own little check-in process, meaning that they will still do a lot of the main stuff with the unit as far as getting the photograph and going to the aquatics area and health checks and all of that. But then once that's done, kind of before going back to the campsite or whatever it might be, they actually need to get their gear and head down towards the Scoutcraft area. That's where they typically meet on Sundays during check-in. And the reason we have Rampage and Cripple Creek sort of doing their separate thing is that those programs, as you know, are sort of outside of main camp. Cripple Creek's in our backcountry and Rampage is up in Virginia. And so those programs actually eat their supper on Sunday early before the rest of the camp, and they leave. They go on to get to their own program areas. So if you have participants in Rampage and Cripple Creek, they will not eat Sunday dinner with your unit. Instead, after you've done your health checks, after you've gotten your unit photo, done your swim tests, Cripple Creek does not need swim tests because they won't be swimming all week, but Rampage absolutely does. And so once those things are done, then those scouts basically need to get their gear and go to the Scoutcraft area so they can be ready to eat early, and we'll have staff there kind of corralling them and showing them where to go.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ash. So one of the things that I mentioned there were shower key and a radio. So during your check-in process, you will get a shower key. What that key does is allow access to our more centralized shower houses throughout camp. Those of you that have showers in the campsite do not need a key for those, but those of you that do have or are near a regional shower house, we give that one key out so that way you're able to, unlock, whether it's the adult leader showers or the camper showers there, so you're able to get them. Sometimes those things just get locked too, so that way we've got a key there in sight. We also do have a Scoutmaster radio that we give out. So that radio is typically, given to or held by whoever's in charge of the unit for the week. What that radio does is allow us to directly communicate with a specific unit should we need to. It is not really a, hey, I need an extra roll of toilet paper at Trails End Campsite type of thing. We use it for broadcasting emergencies or, camp-wide announcements. Or if the health lodge needs to get in touch with a specific unit, they will call over that to see if they can get in touch with somebody. So we will give out that radio and a charger. So keep that on you, so that way we're able to keep in touch with folks. They do get a little spotty with the mountainous nature of camp. So often where, sometimes it may not reach you really good or whatnot, but we do have a process through our staff to kind of echo our announcements throughout the radio so that we were hitting everybody there. Sounds good. All right, let's see here. I'm just going through my check-in list. I think we've about hit everything. We'll wrap up the day with dinner. Your troop guy will take you to dinner, and then we'll have campfire that evening on Sunday to kick things off. Right after dinner on Sunday, we do have a leaders meeting. We will have that leaders meeting there on Sunday evening in the chapel, and then we will have a leaders meeting directly after breakfast every morning the rest of the week, just to make sure that we're all giving out the information that we need and we're all on the same page. All right, so I saw a good question here just from an admin perspective. I'm going to throw this in here really quick, off topic, but what about OA callouts? That's a great question. So those of you that have scouts who are been nominated or elected into the OA, who will be a candidate, we do have our Wednesday night campfire that does include our OA call out. So those of you that have scouts that you would like to have called out at Raven Knob, all we ask is that we get a letter from your scout executive or lodge advisor that is sent to the registration@ravennob.com email address, or sent over to our lodge, our Wahissa Lodge folks. So we'll share that information with you later as terms of what that specific email address is, but you can send that over to registration@ravennob.com. I think we've already had one or two already come over. But yeah, we've got a great Wednesday night ceremony, and we do ask, during the week, if you got any OA members that want to help out with it by being a torchbearer or whatnot, we will make those announcements while we're at camp. But yeah, we would love to call out your kids while they are there at camp during our Wednesday night campfire and ceremony. So great question. So let's see here. Yeah, so I was going to get to this towards the end, but since we're talking about a little more off-topic things, I'm going to ask, when are our troop schedules being loaded into the CRK app? So Max is smiling in the background right now, who is our guru of the Raven Knob app. So it shortly, we'll just call it shortly. So as we get closer to camp, we've done a lot of updates this year. Max has done a lot of updates. I shouldn't say we. He asked me questions about it, and I go, yeah, that sounds great. But we've made a lot of updates and changes, just trying to make it work better for everyone. It's a really sweet app when we get it up and running. But what we will do is we'll give you a code as a leader that you'll be able to plug into your phone. And from there, you'll be able to get all the schedules for your scouts. Your scouts can also download the app, and we will give them a code on their passport on Monday morning, which I don't think we talked about passports at this point, but they'll get a code where they can log in and they have their specific schedule. So I could probably talk about the Raven Knob app for an hour. Max could talk for the rest of the night about it, but we're going to wait until we got everything ready and rocking and rolling before we give that information out. It is currently still live on the Apple and Google Play Store. So if you want to go ahead and download it, that way you can just look at it. You're welcome to, but we'll get that information out.
We still got 2 more webinars till summer camp starts. So.
That's right. That we do. We do have 2 more. So hopefully by the next one, we'll have everything rocking and rolling, and we'll take a look at it then. So, all right. We are going to get back on topic. We'll get to some of the other questions here later on. But at this point, I'm going to pass the ball over to Wesley Warden so he can talk to us about some of the leader programs and making sure that our leaders are having fun at camp and staying active while they're there. So, Wesley, take it away.
Absolutely. So, now that you've got all of your scouts signed up for what they want to take care of, now it's time for you to figure out what you're going to do for the rest of the week. So, obviously, the classic Scoutmaster joke of taking a nap in the campsite, right? You have plenty of time to do that as well. In fact, you'll probably be recommended for that by midway through the week. Hunter, can I share my screen?
You can once you get it ready.
Sorry, it was showing me recommended tips and practices. Here we go. All right. Now, to find out what our leader programs are, you can go over here on our website, go under program, and then there's a kind of subcategory there called adult leader programs. You can click on that. And we have it broken down into three different kind of categories. We have a lot of training courses. So obviously, aquatics trainings, including American Red Cross lifeguards that leaders can take care of or can take part in. Also, like a level 1 climbing certification. We've already mentioned wilderness and remote first aid training. Those spaces are pretty much filled up, but keep a monitor on those if a space comes available. And IOLS, which is really important as well, and pretty common leader course to take. Those all take place during different points of the week, so I always recommend to view the schedule there on those classes, just so that way you don't get any overlap there on what you're taking. We also have some activities that you can actually participate in with your scouts. For example, if your troop is really into disc golf and you have 3 or 4 kids taking disc golf experience, you can do that with them as well. And we recommend that, you can take that and kind of participate in and experience camp with them as well. Same with mountain biking and mile swim. I've already had a lot of questions about mile swim this year. You can take part in those classes as well. And you can take part in our Cripple Creek and Rampage programs. And if you need to do so, you will need to sign up through Teneroo for those programs. And then outside of that, we also have a couple of things just for fun and to kind of help out around camp as well. So what's really popular, especially among first-time leaders, so leaders that are making their first trip to Camp Raven Knob, is our Scoutmaster Merit Badge. And so that has a lot of different requirements to it. But basically the goal of Scoutmaster Merit Badge is just to get you familiar with camp and to see it from all different aspects. So we can go down here and look at the requirements. So you can volunteer at least 2 hours in the trading post, assist the dining hall staff. Our dining hall staff loves getting to know different leaders throughout the week. Our dining hall manager, Carol, loves to meet new people. And so she really enjoys having leaders come and assist in our dining hall. Also, you can help down at the aquatics area with a couple different options. Speak to a merit badge session. So if you do work in aviation or carpentry and want to talk to the woodworking sessions, that's an option as well. And a couple different other options. I won't go through all of them. But Scoutmaster Merit Badge is one that we really recommend throughout the week, just so that way you can kind of experience camp from all different options. We also have our Scoutmaster Cook-Off. That's one of our staff's favorites, specifically our commissioner staff. They love being the judges for that. As you can see, Hunter is flashing his brand new Big Stepper Award that he definitely earned throughout last summer at camp. Our Raven Knob Big Stepper Award goes to the leader who tracks their steps and has the most steps at the end of the week. So you can turn those in on Friday by lunchtime. And if you had the most steps throughout the week, you will get that brand new Big Stepper medal right there. So that's also an option. I already know a couple people are training for it, planning on hiking the knob, every day. Good luck to you. But that is an option as well. And also, one thing we really like to have fun with is our Scoutmaster versus staff softball game. Our staff is undefeated, and we love to have fun because we win every time. So just keep a watch out for that as well. Last year, we also really sort of kind of pushed our Rowdy Regiment work crew headed up by our Ranger staff. And that's for people that may be plumbers or electricians or carpenters or have experience in any of those trades. Can sign up with our Rowdy Regiment work crew and complete some tasks throughout the week. There is a special patch for it, and I don't think I have that patch with me, unfortunately. I think I tried to find it last time, couldn't find it either. But there's a special patch that comes along with that. So those are some options that you can look at for what you're going to do during the week. For any leaders also, because this is a common question we get, asking if we have Wi-Fi at camp for those leaders that may have to work during the week. We understand our Scoutmaster's Lounge is located at our program center. It has some really comfortable couches and chairs in there. It stays open all throughout the day. So if you have any leaders that need to go there to complete some work, they can do that. There's a separate Scoutmaster Wi-Fi network that they can access at all times to complete any work that they may need to do. So there's plenty of options to explore at camp. Next, I'm also going to talk about, because this is probably around the time of the year where you get parents start asking you questions about what camp's going to look like and things like that. I'm also going to start looking at our parents guide. So we, a couple of years ago, started putting out a separate parents guide. You can find it under this leaders guides and forms page. And this tries to answer some of the common questions that we know parents will typically ask around this time of year. What is my kid going to be doing? How do I get in contact with them? What should they pack? A packing list is obviously a really important aspect of what parents are looking for. Things like dress code. It explains the medical forms and medication as well. I know we had a couple questions in the chat about medication, and it kind of explains that process. And then what they're doing. How much money should they send for the trading post? That's a common question we get as well. And that kind of goes into what we recommend doing right there. And how you get in contact with them. We do accept mail, and we have our Send a Scout a Message program. Our admin staff loves our Send a Scout a Message program, and they deliver them at every meal. And then also, how can I visit? All kinds of things, and a camp map. So that's a good thing to share with your units. Again, parents start asking questions about this time of year and wanting to get everything prepared. So this guide has a lot of information. It makes it easier for y'all to give information to your families while you, or to your parents in preparation for summer camp. I'm going to stop sharing. Cool. Hunter, did I miss anything?
I think it sounded great. I've been over
Awesome.
here responding to folks, so I think you did a good job.
Awesome.
Yeah,
somebody asked about service projects. You can sign up for those when you arrive at camp. We'll have a commissioner in charge of service projects, and you can find them starting usually Sunday at leaders meeting, Sunday night at leaders meeting, and they can get you signed up. I don't know if y'all mentioned leaders meeting as part of the checkout process, or check-in process, but we will have a big leaders meeting, and they can sign up for them there.
We did. I know you've been watching the spread on the national championship game, so you probably missed that spot. So
I have not. I was answering questions and not paying attention.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to bring the crew back in here really quick. Ash, Josh, anything that we may have missed? I think that hit everything on our agenda. So just wanted to, I'm scrolling back through questions. Anything that stood out to you guys that we need to hit?
I think we're done a little early.
Man. Oh, I did have one. Man, I even had it prepped and everything. So there was a great question about medication that I wanted to answer because I know a lot of units have that. So when it comes to medication for a scout, we do have our policy in the leader's guide under the health section. You can see this here. So I'm just going to read it really quick. All prescription medications, including those needing refrigeration, are to be kept in locked storage and in compliance with local and state laws. According to local laws, it is required for all Schedule II narcotics to be under secure, dual lock and key in the health lodge for participants under the age of 18. In the campsite, adult leaders may lock prescription medications in whatever way works best for them. If desired, lockable ammo containers are attached to the shelter in each campsite and may be used for this purpose. Units will need to provide the lock for the lockbox. The health lodge is also able to securely store medications as needed. If sending medication with your scout to camp, please send it in its original container. Inhalers and epi auto ejectors, we recommend that scouts and leaders who use inhalers and EpiPens and other emergency medication carry with their medication with them at all times. So just wanted to mention that and read it word for word. That way we've got that information. We do, instead of putting stuff in the health lodge, it is more convenient to keep it in your campsite, and it's going to be more time friendly for you as a leader that may need to be, in charge of that or giving it out, whatever it may be. So just wanted to touch on that really quick while we had that great question. So that's one that doesn't get brought up often, but definitely one that can get people a little confused at times. So I think we've answered pretty much every question. If you didn't see the answer to your question, I may have answered it further down. So just want to see Here's a question about the train, off topic, no problem. For train arrival, I'm going to assume that's train arrivals. How will be transferred from the train station to camp? So it could either be a 15 passenger van or a charter like coach bus. So one of the two. It just depends on the day and the time and all that kind of stuff. So the bulk of folks will be moved on a charter bus from the train station to camp, but we will also have our 15 passenger vans running back and forth quite a bit.
So, regardless of mode, we will definitely have storage for your baggage as well.
Yes, we will.
Absolutely.
So we will have I think what we figured out last year pretty well multiple times is that usually everybody getting on, if we were to fill up a bus, 54 seats, that we've got enough room there for everybody's gears, and that's trunks, that's backpacks, it's water coolers, whatever people are bringing. We've always had enough room on the bus, but nonetheless, we always bring an extra trailer down because that's the last thing we want to do is not have enough room. So we'll have a trailer down there as well. So,
I'll say also for those of you that are riding the train, because we usually start getting questions about it this time of year, what can I bring on the train? I would look at Amtrak's website. They have a list of different things you can bring and how you need to store them. For example, if you're bringing your archery equipment, that's a specific category on the list for some reason. But if you're bringing archery equipment, it has to be stored properly. Please do not bring archery equipment to camp. But there's all different kinds of ways to store different things. And so if you go on Amtrak's website, they have a list of things that you can bring and where to store them at.
yeah, it's pretty impressive what they will let you bring on the train. I've been quite surprised. I haven't been surprised by what kids have showed up with. I've been surprised about what they do have on their website. And then when it comes to birthdays, we do, announce scout birthdays. We don't have like a big list. So, a leader or SPL or somebody can come tell us at the dining hall about birthdays, and we will announce that. And yes, we are happy to announce leader birthdays as well. So we'll even fudge the age should that be necessary. So not a problem. Yep. All right. Well, we're going to call that an evening. We know we got basketball on, and for most of us, I think looks like about another 2 hours. So I've given you enough time to go get you something to eat, go get you a nap in, and get tuned in for the big game.
I think that's for all of us, right? The game shows at the same time, regardless.
Oh, that's true. But it's I guess it is 2 hours for everybody, no matter what. I don't know. The world feels like it spins different in other places.
I am in Central Time, but
Yes, that it is. It's just 7:50 your time.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. There's your quote for the year that you guys can hang on to. So, all right, folks, we appreciate it. Thank you for everything you do. As always, reach out to us. One thing I did tell Wesley earlier is that we get a lot of emails during session registration time, and if by happen chance we didn't respond to an email, both of our emails are getting pretty low. There's some things the past few days that we haven't gotten to. But if something didn't get responded to back 2 weeks ago, it could have just gotten shoved into a folder or accidentally deleted, because we delete all of our emails because of how many we get. If for some reason we didn't get to you, please respond back out and touch base with us, because we won't get that information to you. But it does happen on those really busy days. We get a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails between those two registration days. So thanks for everything. Appreciate the great comments, and we can't wait to see you. Let's call it 1 month from now. We will have our next webinar on Monday, May 5th. So we'll see you there. Thanks, folks.
See y'all.